Work session of the Southampton Town Board to order on this 14th day of September 2023. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Cindy, would you call the roll?
Certainly. Supervisor Schneiderman.
I'm here.
Councilwoman McNamara. Here. Councilman Martell.
Here.
Councilman Bouvier is not with us today. Councilman Schiavone.
Present.
Councilman Bouvier has an excused absence from today's meeting. Janice, actually, if you can track me down a pen so I can take some notes, because I don't have
You need a
one.
pen?
That's all right.
Here you go.
I just watched that. Hand sanitizer.
Oh, boy.
I'll get one.
Sterilized.
Also, I can use an iPhone charger if you can track one down too.
Okay.
I'm running
I'll
low on
take a
battery.
pen from you.
All right.
You will. Okay.
So,
I'll bring it back. I'll give it back.
let me start out this morning with just sort of some breaking news. So, breaking in the form of waves. And so Hurricane Lee has shifted a bit to the west. And it's a significant event in terms of coastal erosion, potentially. So we're seeing, we just went through high tide cycle, and the next high tide, at least in the Shinnecock Inlet area along the ocean, is going to be around 8 tonight. I've spent the morning out there with Highway, with County DPW, with Ryan Murphy, with Chief Kiernan, and with others, Aram Terchunian. There is a spot just to the west of Tiana Beach, actually closer to Sandbar Beach, if you know where that is, just to the east of Sandbar Beach, where there is sort of a missing section of dune to begin with. There's a house that's on pilings, and the dune sort of doesn't really exist much, and the waves were really just rushing right underneath that structure, creating a bit of a river to the bay. It was described to me as a breach this morning, a bad breach. I don't know technically if it's a breach. I would say it's a washover, but it is certainly pre-breach conditions. If we don't do anything, it'll, by tonight it will be a breach. And breaches, as the board's aware, can expand very quickly. So once you have that rush of water through and you have the pressure from the bay pushing out, a small breach can turn into a very large breach. There is a number of structures in that area. So I have declared a state of emergency, a localized state of emergency in that area so that we can do everything we can. I've reached out to the county executive to get the equipment that we need. We have large truckloads of sand already being brought into that area and is being placed on, I think, in front of this home and behind this home to shore that up. I'm sorry, Charlie? Oh, you need Janice? Okay. So I didn't ask if Charlie was filming. I'm assuming he is. So we are doing everything we can to prevent it from getting worse in that area. Dune Road is closed. Large sections of Dune Road are closed. Not all of Dune Road is closed. We really don't want anybody getting hurt. We don't want anybody interfering with our ability to move that sand into place quickly. There are other areas we're monitoring. We had done a flyover just last week. So we have pretty good reconnaissance in terms of what the shoreline looks like and where the vulnerable spots are. I'm particularly concerned about the area by the commercial dock where there's a lot of wave activity currently. The dune is very narrow and steep and not, it doesn't have the stabilized effect that the roots would have if it were a dune that had been there for a long time. It's a dune that was created fairly recently with a lot of loose sand, going back just a year or two when we had that major issue on Dune Road. So it's a dune that could easily wash out. and I expect it will. So we're looking to stockpile significant amounts of sand in the area of the commercial dock, both east and possibly west of the commercial dock, so that we have some material there, because we don't have material to rebuild it currently, so, very little. So we're gonna try to use the next hours between now and the high tide. And it's not just tonight's high tide. This storm isn't technically here, right? So we're expecting it to arrive late Friday and go through Saturday. But we're already seeing significant erosions. We're expecting the wave heights to double. We're seeing 7-foot waves right now. We're expecting 14-foot waves. So there is a sort of an offshore sandbar that should dissipate some of that wave energy and should help us a little bit. But we're also, have to look at areas like Pikes Beach. We have to look, on the east side of the canal too, in those ECD areas. So I'm in consultation with Aram and others, and we're gonna closely monitor this situation. It has the potential to, not only bring a lot of rain and wind and flooding and power outages, but the most significant things that we're concerned about is coastal erosion and a very dangerous, potentially lethal riptide. And so we'll be obviously in touch with Parks Department and the Bay Constables and doing everything we can, to try to keep people out of the water. Because, people may not understand these rip currents and how lethal they are. I actually have a friend who lost her daughter, who was a college athlete, in a rip current, got pulled out. This is somebody who was a great swimmer who drowned in a riptide. So if people think that maybe it's okay to go in the water. It's not okay. Even the best swimmers can drown in those conditions. So we're gonna do what we can, but I wanted the board to be fully aware of the current conditions. All right. With that, let's go to the first item on our agenda, 424 North Sea Road LLC. We have Jenna Shearer, our Town Planning and Development Administrator, and we have Judge Burke, Ed Burke, from Burke and Sullivan, former judge, who is also here, I guess, representing the property owner?
Yes, Mr. McCullough could not be here, so Mr. Burke is here in case you have any questions.
Okay. That's the best we could do for a substitution? All right. That's
Slumming today.
Yeah, slumming it. All right. So Janice, you want to introduce?
Sure, thank you, everyone, good morning. This is our new, you entertained one of these so far, the Dan's Papers on County Road 39, one non-conforming use to another, if you remember. This is the second one we've had. I have it up on the screen, and you can be given aerials. It's an existing use. It was previously plumbing and electric special trade contractor, and they're looking just to change their tenancy to
It was lawnmower
sign.
repair before.
Lawnmower repair.
lawnmower, yeah.
Then a
What-
plumbing
I'm
sorry,
outfit.
right,
When you
lawnmower.
say it's not
Okay.
conform, what's it zoned as?
It's R20,
Really?
yeah.
That's a tough spot for residents. Nobody would want to live there. but-
It's a very tough spot. So this process, you could say, hey, this should be HB or something, or you.
Is the property, the other commercial property that adjoins it, that's zoned also residential?
They're all R20,
yes.
but across the street diagonally is HB.
That's right.
Which one? This house?
Actually, I could put
Across
the zoning
North
on
Sea
that.
Road.
Oh, across
Where your
North-
thumb is, that's a Southampton Fire Department piece, or Fire District. And just to the south of that is HB.
Okay, and so, what's it CO'd for right now?
Hold on one second.
They have a number of variances going back to 1960.
Oh, yeah?
It's inside, it's a tough spot to
It is.
triangle.
So I don't even know if that's.
Like a
it.
triangle.
And according to the variance in 1960,
Yeah.
it predates our zoning, the use as commercial or mechanical.
Yes, so the criteria here is that the chief building inspector has to certify that it's a legally pre-existing non-conforming use, which they went to Sean McDermott, and he did look at those CO issues and said, yes, this
The
is
current use is
The current
legal,
use-
existing,
legally pre-existing. The second criteria is that it's, you know, a use you can change to, which special trade contractor is.
It has to be some use within the code, right?
Yeah,
And-
so we don't call it sign company, we just group that under the general category of special trade contractor.
So that's what they want to be, a sign company?
They wanna be a sign company, but it would be under the heading of special trade contractor. So many times, you're a landscaping company or a special trade contractor, you're a, you know, a painting company or a special trade. So special trade is special trade, but the building department wants, you
No,
can't
this-
change your tenancy when you have a pre-existing non-conforming use that doesn't, you know, if you were an HB and you wanna go from landscaper to sign company, no problem, but because it's zoned R20, you can't do that.
So this,
without-
in this second, because I'm familiar with the law that we created, because these used to go not to us, but to the zoning board.
Mhm.
So this second criteria, yeah, it has to be a use that is contemplated within the town, and then it also, we have to make some sort of finding that the new use is less non-conforming than the old use.
Right, and they have provided in their application, you know, that a sign company is going to be less intense and fewer trucks, equipment
Okay,
as the previous use. The third criteria is that the use, scale, and density are consistent, and it is, no one's changing, the building's staying exactly the same, it's just who's inside the building. And that, you know, they gave us all the information to move forward, which is item 4, which they did. And then it just has a, you know, if you do switch to a new non-conforming use, it's still subject to all these abandonment regulations, et cetera, so that's the last standard.
Right.
So the process here is that you just are going to decide whether you're going to elect to consider it. We'll schedule a hearing, and then you can determine, you know, take an action. And then this is actually, something can be approved administratively, like, because they're not increasing the parking or any other, they're not making any physical changes.
I mean, I'm just
A-
concerned they're
after
gonna
a
lose
hearing.
all of their parking.
so, yeah, so we have to have a public hearing.
Yeah, after a hearing and a resolution.
After a hearing, I could even have the if you're inclined, the resolution could be on the same night even, just change,
You know,
approving the
and-
change from one to another, then we'll handle it, but I mean, this one's pretty easy.
You know,
And
my-
how about notice?
Nothing's changed.
I'm
Is it
100%
gonna-
in
Are we gonna notice the immediate neighbors?
Oh, yeah, that's
the
all
hearing
part
for
of
that
the,
part?
yep.
I'm 100% in support of having a public
Yeah.
hearing. Listen, I've been in and around zoning for a good portion of my life. This property should not be residentially zoned, in my opinion. It should be commercially, you can't live there. That's not a habitable property, and it's, next to a commercial property. This really should be rezoned, and, I mean, we can consider that at a later date, and making this actually a conforming lot, so that the operator doesn't have to deal with those
Every time
abandonment
they
issues.
change
It
it
can be
to-
treated as a conforming property, but for now, I have no issues with this. Rick?
Agreed, yeah.
Great, so on your next
City?
agenda, I'll have.
Yeah, no, I just noted that, we were currently looking at North Sea Road when them doing the repaving and the sidewalks, and this is another business that could potentially lose all of their on-street parking if the county decides to put sidewalks through here.
But they have some on-site parking there too, right?
They
There's-
have
have a few
on-site
sites,
parking,
yeah.
and they say that they're not needing as much parking, so
Right.
that's
Yeah.
a bonus as well. If the county
It
would
wasn't
look
on,
at
it wasn't a
parallel
comment on
parking,
them, it was just more,
maybe we can talk to the county about like parallel parking along there,
You guys keep going.
That would be
Take over.
good.
All right?
yeah.
Have we seen that plan yet?
And then,
Yeah,
yeah,
I've
but
been
then my
working.
only other question I had is, like, in the case of you brought up Dan's papers that we had currently, the other one we changed non-conforming use of, and we had stated on that application that there could be only one tenant, and that was how it was gonna be less,
Non-conforming.
yes.
Right.
Right after we approved that, there's currently signs there for rentals of apartments, I mean, not apartments, of, retail space or office space.
Well, that would clearly be in violation of your approval.
But I've brought this to somebody's attention, so how do you,
I reached out to the owner
you
of
know,
the property, who
We can
I was
do
not able to reach, but I left a
covenants,
message that we're doing
when you
work
do
on the
these
property
approvals,
under emergency
require a covenant,
declaration.
so we have an added layer of protection there.
Okay.
So it's even easier in justice court.
Okay.
That
Cause
would
I'm
be
just,
what
that's
I
my
would
only
recommend.
concern, is if we're gonna do it and we're gonna say it has to be, more conforming, and then we don't follow through on what they're doing to be, I understand this one is kind of like, it is what it is, because it's still gonna be one
Okay.
use, and it's
Yeah.
gonna be But in that case, it was supposed to be, there was supposed to be one tenant, and now they're leasing out.
We would
Yeah,
need
that's
to
an
be
issue,
careful
and
with
we
this.
may have required a covenant on that one, so we should look into that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And other applications cannot influence this one. I mean,
No,
because of
no,
what
no,
happened
just,
there,
that wasn't even
you know,
about
it-
this, I'm just asking that question as an aside.
Yeah, so if
Right.
you want conditions on any of these,
Mhm.
I would always recommend that added layer of, a deed or covenant restriction that, so we always have that.
Yeah.
But in this case, I don't see the need for that, but in the other one, you may have already required that, and then we would
We'll check
seek
it out, I'll
some,
check on that.
remedy there if they're not
Yeah.
complying with your approvals.
And I like the idea of changing this to something that suits them, so they don't have to come back to us if they get a new tenant for
Yeah, I mean, to
something
do
that
this every
fits
time
into
they get a
him with
tenant.
business or.
So,
So-
yeah, so it's special trade contractor no matter what, but as
Mhm.
long as it's found to be,
So,
compliant,
yeah,
then.
so you'll, I mean, one step at a time. So let's do the public hearing. You'll bring the resolution for.
The resolution that you will see on your next agenda is that you're electing to consider it and setting the hearing.
Yes.
Then you'll have the hearing and then you'll make a decision.
Right.
Okay.
And that'll solve the problem for now, and then long term, I think, Judge, if you wanna advise your client to come in for a zone change, I think it might be met favorably. So,
Yeah, there's no question, this is a unique piece of property, right? And
somebody might claim spots, you never know that, whether you're gonna get resistance, but let's do it one step at a time.
it's pre-existing, and it got a variance in 1960, right? So
Yeah.
it has a tortured, as far as zoning is concerned, a tortured history in it. But you're absolutely right, we'll have Mr. McCully review that with the client and maybe go with the zone, but for practical reasons now, right, obviously, we're going through the change.
All right.
Yeah, they did try to, get a building permit for roof repairs and then that's where they got kinda caught up.
Sure.
So, it would be good to do it sooner than later, before the winter, so they can make their
You can fix
necessary
his
repairs.
roof.
Yeah, okay, great,
Okay,
We
Okay.
just wanna get her up and operating.
yeah,
okay.
Do you,
excellent.
you wanna,
Thank you.
Thank you.
good,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
So, yes, you're good.
What about that?
So, yeah, what?
Yeah,
Thanks.
sign
Yeah. Where are they?
those papers up there, Janice.
Okay, so excuse the interruption before, that was Ryan Murphy. We are in this state of emergency, and Ryan is the incident commander at the moment, so if he calls me or the police call me, I will have to take the call. He was just sort of updating me. Pretty much the same things that I had said earlier, they're gonna try to do something by the commercial dock as well. But they're running into some issues with moving sand, because the sand, the heavy equipment can get stuck in the soft sand there. But they are building the sand up on both sides of the house, the dune, and they're gonna build some sand up in front and some sand behind, to try to get a continuous dune line there the best they can. But I'll try to keep you guys updated as the day progresses. All right, I have some emergency orders to sign. I'll do that in 1 second. What is next on our agenda?
Updates.
Oh, just updates, okay. So you know about the overwash, pre-breach conditions. Let me see, I have a few other things here. The town applied for a grant award from FEMA to prepare design documents and construction cost estimates for the elevation of the eastern section of Dune Road from Ponquag Bridge to Shinnecock Inlet. The town was recently notified that has been awarded $45,000 toward this effort. The design documents and construction estimates will be part of the full project funding grant application to be submitted to FEMA by the town in 2024. Yesterday I had the East End Supervisors and Mayors Association. There's actually a nice presentation by what used to be called the East End Food Institute, which is now called the East End Food Hub. And Kate Fulham, from our planning board, is the director of that organization. She did a really good job. They're building a whole new facility, right? They've been operating out of the college, but up in Riverhead, it's really a great plan. Maybe one day we'll have them present here what they're doing. A lot of talk about traffic. regionally and how we can work together to address some of the traffic issues. And we had updates from the Assembly and from Fred Thiel and from Al Krupski and Bridget Fleming at the county legislature. And as you know, that sales tax increase that would have brought in money for water quality, that did not get through the county legislature. So that will not be on the ballot this year.
And not for a special either? I
no.
heard that they were
No, that doesn't
not even
sound
for a
like that.
special election at some
Yes.
point? Okay,
No.
that's too bad.
So yesterday I attended, out on Vale Avenue in Riverside, Habitat for Humanity and our Southampton Housing Authority held a wall raising. I know you guys have been to a lot of these. That neighborhood, this is, I think, the 4th or 5th house in that neighborhood that Habitat's been involved with. So I got to bang some nails. It was actually a lot of fun, but it also feels pretty good when you're helping build somebody a home. And Kara Back was there, Curtis Highsmith was there, a number of people were there. Members of the board at the Housing Authority were there, Barbara Fair, Helen Burgess. So it was really a really nice event. I don't know how long it's gonna take to finish the house, but you know, the four walls, the studded walls, the framing is up now, and if you guys get a chance to go drive by or volunteer, it's a really nice thing to do. Last thing I'll mention is the town completed a $1.4 million renovation and improvements to Shinnecock Commercial Dock in 2022. Before the work commenced, the town applied for and received a grant award of $300,000 from New York State to support this effort. This past week, the town received a check for the full award amount, $300,000, to offset the cost there. And you know, we have another project that we're going to consider to expand the parking area for the commercial fishermen and to create some additional public parking in that area, as well as emergency communications in that area. So that's something to discuss in the future. And again, that commercial dock is particularly vulnerable, though, this evening through Saturday in terms of coastal erosion.
That's a great idea. Is the parking lot gonna be configured for storage? Because
Yes.
the fishermen and women, you know, they use it for storage. The different parking areas or different bins of different boats.
And they
you
were,
can see-
they were in our meeting, and we actually went through and made sure that
Good, so
everything we
their
were
needs are
proposing
gonna
was
be met
sufficient.
there.
All right, why don't we go to Cindy if you have any updates?
Just a brief one, there is a local non-for-profit Hampton's Trade Education Fund having a trade expo at the Southampton College this Saturday from 11 to 4. The Hampton's Trades Education Fund is looking to fund Southampton College of the Trades program. Their dream is to have a vocational school on the Southampton College campus to where they can partner with local contractors and have apprenticeship programs. They could provide housing and have them get on hopefully a train station there and go east to work for contractors, which would be amazing. But they are having a trade show for local students and people in the industry this Saturday at the college from 11 to 4.
All right, other updates?
So, on the wall raising, we did, last Christmas, I remember buying these gift cards to local breweries. They hand out to the neighbors and friends for Christmas, and it was beers for beans or something like that. And a lot of the money that was raised was for that home that they're building. And it was great to see that some of the money came back locally, so it was nice to see that. Sunday, Cindy and I and Tommy John visited the Anti-Bias Task Force picnic. It was a nice showing. I'm sure we all sat down and made our beads and our prayer beads, said a little prayer for the town of Southampton. Little did we know that we were gonna have a breach this week. But it's a nice event. It was a really hot day, so it was a little less attendance, but it's always a good time to check out that picnic.
I played Where's Waldo with Councilman Schiavone looking for you. He said he's with the Methodists, and I was like, what?
Well,
And I realized you were literally with the Methodists.
I was with the Hamptons Methodist Church, and I was making I didn't know I was gonna need my glasses to make a prayer bead. So I let one of the little brown beads roll off the table, And since we couldn't find it, the lady had to go back to the car, look through like 1,000 beads to find me one more, because there's a specific way to make them. You need the 7 days of the week, so you need 7 of the same beads to know which day of the week you're praying on. So when I lost that, it's about an hour-long process.
That would have been a 6-day week
That's
without
it.
that, so. Councilman Scavone?
Sure. Noyak Civic Council had a meeting last night, and our very own Chief Kiernan was there. Did a really great job presenting to the community. Of course, the concerns of the community focused around a lot of the concerns town-wide, namely traffic and some crime issues. But I'm really happy to see the chief out and about, meeting with the community members. That's very important. Also, Round Pond, a project that we have been working on for years. It's going to be breaking ground within the next 2 weeks, and that is on Middle Country. Town Line Road in Sag Harbor. It's right on the line between unincorporated Southampton and Sag Harbor Village.
Anything else?
No. I'm glad to see the Trade Expo is there. I think, Southampton College is clearly underutilized, and that is a good idea, and it would help serve the community well, I think.
So, one thing I forgot to mention too, was it Saturday? It was Saturday morning in Quogue. I've been doing this every year. I do a little sort of update. They call it the state of the town. It's not an official state of the town, but I do provide about a 1-hour presentation. There's typically like 30 or 40 people who attend, and I try to focus on issues that affect that Quogue region, like the FIM project and things like that, or airport noise at Gabreski. So it was very nice, nicely attended. It was a beautiful day. We held it outside, and I wasn't filmed or anything, but there was some great questions about different issues, and the tax assessment issues we talked about a little bit with the market trend freeze and things like that, and just some of the issues affecting the Quogue area. I have reached out to the governor's office relatively informally about the trustee issue. I'm going to try to get a more formal response out. I'd like to discuss that in executive session with the board, relating to the governor. The bill is coming over to the governor, giving us the 1-year extension on the trustee tax line issue. And we do need the extension now, because I have to submit the budget. And if there is a tax line, it's a very different process than if there isn't a tax line. And, the board has not arrived at an agreement with the trustee board as to this memorandum of agreement, which I think is a necessary component of the tax line. I think you have to have that to have the tax line. I know President Horowitz disagrees and thinks that it can be done without it, but I don't think it can. I think that we need a mutual understanding between the two boards. So I wanted to just let you know, I have reached out to Assemblyman Thiel, I've reached out to Senator Palumbo, but I'd like to reach out now more formally in writing and get this done. If for some reason the governor didn't sign, I'm not sure how we proceed. That's a legal question. So we can discuss that in executive session as well. But by all indications, the governor will allow us the additional time to see if we're able to reach an agreement. It'll be up to the next board to sort that out. The other thing, the next
board of trustees too.
And the next board of trustees. So the last thing I just want to say is really a thank you to our police and highway and our county executive Balone and DPW.
And Ryan Murphy.
Ryan Murphy. Everybody is out there right now trying to buttress the dunes to prepare us for what could be a significant coastal erosion event. I know they're going to work around the clock. expecting the county to come through with the approval to bring significant amount of resources our way so that, we can prevent a breach. We're gonna try to prevent a breach. This is a significant event, this Hurricane Lee, and we're gonna do the best we can. I always worry about the safety of these people when you have heavy equipment, and, we're doing the best we can to make sure that no one gets hurt in an operation like this, and going over safety protocols and things like that. But I just wanted to thank everybody out there, all from the fire marshals to the bay constables to the highway department, Charlie McCardle, highway superintendent, to all of the people involved in the operation, public safety folks. It's going to be a big operation. It's going to be a big operation, and I'll be out there tonight at high tide too, monitoring it, and we're going to do the best we can. We're going to do the best we can, and God willing,
When is high tide this evening?
8 o'clock tonight. God willing, the storm passes without much effect. But I'd rather be prepared and err on the side of caution and be ready for whatever may come our way. And if we feel like there's vulnerable spots that we can shore up, then I think that that's the right thing to do.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long weekend. I think we can probably expect some closures on Dune Road. There is a 5K scheduled on Dune
Over the
Road
bridge.
Saturday morning over the bridge, so the Lions Club in Hampton Bays should consider taking a look at that, and if it's possible to reschedule, maybe reschedule that.
Okay, so Jim is telling me that the county is also gonna issue an emergency order, correct, Jim?
Yes.
All right, so,
Is the water running underneath the house that's up on stilts, like under the structure?
it's like a river right now.
Yeah, but under
It's
the
actually, I
structure,
think
it's not.
it's
the
under
side.
and to the side.
It's a little bit to the
To the
side.
side.
I-
A little bit to the side,
Okay.
but it literally, I could show you a video, it's like
Yeah.
a river coming through there. And so, my call that I got at 7:30 this morning from the highway superintendent was that there is a bad breach at that spot.
Mhm.
Technically, by definition, it's probably not a breach, but an overwash. But what's really the practical difference is that will be a major breach if we don't do something now. It's just a matter of time. So one more high tide and it would be a breach, I believe.
There's more water coming through now than when we dug the cut by hand.
Yeah. Oh, way more. No, it's
It's a cut, like,
it's a significant amount of water. So
and they
what
have to worry
happens
about it
is
underwashing the road.
every time a wave crosses over the fairly low beach there, and then it just rushes like a river straight through, and each time it does, it digs out a little bit more. So it's only a matter
What's
of
the
time.
condition of the roadway?
It's flooded, so there's about a foot of water.
But it's not like undermined.
Not yet. It's about a foot of water on the road in that location.
This is one of the older houses on the row,
Yeah.
This is
right?
the one
I
on
mean,
stilts.
It's the one on
I
stilts.
was
that-
noticed, yeah, its placement is actually in the dune line.
Yeah, it's
So it
actually
probably
a little forward
predates a
of
lot
most
of our
of them.
Its
code.
placement
It would be
is in the
moving
dune
the house,
line,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
there is no dune in that spot.
Right,
So the dune comes on both sides, and then there's a drop in the dune, and then this house on stilts, where the dune would be.
Hmm.
So,
Interesting, okay.
all right, any other questions about that?
Nope.
All right, so we'll pray that the storm passes, but we're gonna be prepared just in case. All right, so we have a number of things for executive session. We have contracts, personnel, acquisition, litigation, confidential legal advice. So I will make a motion to end our work session and go into executive session on those items.
Second?
Seconded by Councilman Schiavone, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned for all other purposes.